Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Listen and Learn English podcast. I'm your host, Chris, here to take you on another storytelling adventure. Today, we have a heartwarming tale about Andy, who visits his twin brother Darren and meets his new nephew for the first time. It's a story of family, change, and the surprises that life brings. Whether you're a fan of babies or just love a good family story, this episode is for you. Let's explore the nuances of a family bond and see how Andy's perspective changes. Here we go. Before we dive into our story, let's familiarize ourselves with some key words that will help us better understand Andy and Darren's journey. Our first word is nephew. A nephew is a son of one's brother or sister. For example, he bought a birthday gift for his nephew. Next is cuddle. To cuddle means to hold someone close in one's arms as a way of showing love or affection. For instance, she cuddled the baby to make him feel secure. Finally, we have the word scared. Scared means being frightened or afraid of something. It's a feeling we all experience at times. For example, he was scared to speak in front of the large crowd. Sometimes I am too. Keep these words in mind as we follow Andy's emotional journey on our story. Understanding them will enhance your connection with the narrative. Let's delve into our story about Andy and his twin brother Darren. It's a tale of family, change, and unexpected emotions. Listen closely as we uncover how Andy's feelings evolve through his new family experience. Here's the story. Andy went to visit his twin brother Darren. The two of them were very close when they were teenagers. They liked to go to parties and study together. When Darren got married, they stopped seeing each other so much. Andy still enjoyed going to parties. Darren liked staying home and watching television with his wife. 1 month ago, Darren's wife had a baby boy. Andy was going to meet the baby for the first time. Andy did not want to see Darren's son because he did not like children. Andy had never held a baby before. Andy was even a little scared of the baby. What if he dropped the baby? When Andy arrived and saw Darren, he was so happy. Darren was carrying his son. When Andy looked at his nephew, he loved him so much. Darren showed Andy how to hold the baby, and after that, Andy never put the baby down. Andy even stayed the night and cuddled with his nephew. He decided that he liked kids now. And that's our story, a touching narrative about family ties and overcoming fears. Now that we've shared Andy and Darren's story, let's test your comprehension with some questions. Here they are. Question number 1 is, what was the relationship like between Andy and Darren when they were younger? Question number 2, how did their relationship change after Darren got married? Question number 3, why was Andy initially reluctant to meet his nephew? Question number 4, describe Andy's feelings and actions when he finally met his nephew. Number 5, what was Andy's fear regarding the baby, and how did he overcome it? And question 6, how did the experience of meeting his nephew change Andy's perspective on children? Oh, that's a good question. Take a moment to think about these questions. We'll review the answers and provide explanations shortly, so stay with us, or stay with me. Welcome back, listeners. It's time to reveal the answers to our questions about Andy and Darren's story. Let's see how you did. Question number 1 was, what was the relationship like between Andy and Darren when they were younger? Well, Andy and Darren were very close as teenagers, and they enjoyed going to the parties and they liked studying together. Question number 2 was, how did their relationship change after Darren got married? Well, after Darren got married, the brothers saw each other less, and Andy continued to go to parties, while Darren stayed at home and watched TV with his wife. He's a smart man. Question number 3 was, why was Andy initially reluctant to meet his nephew? Well, Andy was a little reluctant, scared to meet his nephew because he didn't like children and he had never held a baby before. He was scared about dropping the baby. I guess I would be too, right? Question number 4 was, describe Andy's feelings and actions when he finally met his nephew. Well, when Andy met his nephew, his feelings changed a lot. You could say dramatically. He felt an instant love for the baby. He learned how to hold him, and he didn't want to put him down. He even stayed the night just so he could cuddle with him. That's kind of cute, right? Question number 5 was, what was Andy's fear about the baby, and how did he overcome it? Well, he was afraid he was going to drop the baby. But he overcame his fear when his brother showed him how to hold the baby. And this made him feel a lot more comfortable and affectionate towards the baby. Question number 6 was, how did the experience of meeting his nephew change Andy's perspective on children? Well, once he met his nephew, his perspective changed dramatically. He went from disliking children to enjoying his time with his nephew, and he developed a liking for kids. And now that we've gone through the answers, let's focus on a grammar point highlighted in our story. In today's story about Andy and Darren, we encountered a fine example of the past perfect tense. This tense is used to describe actions that were completed before another action in the past. For example, when we say Andy had never held a baby before, it indicates that up until the moment of meeting his nephew, Andy had no experience with babies. The structure of the past perfect tense is had plus the past participle of the verb, like had gone, had seen, had done. It is a useful tense for talking about past experiences or conditions that have an impact on later events. Understanding the past perfect tense helps in describing sequences of events and experiences in the past. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Listen and Learn English podcast. We've journeyed through the story of Andy and Darren, explored themes of family bonding and overcoming personal fears, and the joy of new experiences. We learned about the transformation of Andy's feelings towards children, particularly his nephew, and how this changed his perspective. Today we covered important vocabulary like nephew, cuddle, and scared. We also delved into the past perfect tense, an essential aspect of English grammar that helps us talk about our past experiences and their impact on our present. I hope this story not only helped you in your English learning journey, but also warmed your heart with its message about family and personal growth. Thank you for tuning in with me, your host Chris, on this narrative adventure. Keep practicing the language skills we've explored today, and join us again for another enriching episode of the Listen and Learn English podcast. Until next time, keep learning and exploring the depths of the English language. And always remember, you're awesome.